Hello, I am here. Apparently, I didn't record this blog from, well, I think it just came out yesterday, but I did do another one that's scheduled to come out later this week, like on Thursday. So I will probably record it. So you'll see me in this lovely outfit again. Love the hair. Don't tell anyone I do hair. Okay, so I read my blog aloud to you, those of you who don't really have time to listen. I mean, to physically read and you want to listen. I'm there, right there with you. I've been doing a lot of audiobooks lately, reading them or listening to them because I've got other things I'm doing, and I like to multitask. And I don't absorb all of it, but I don't think I absorb all of reading either because I get really tired and I sit still, so then I start having guilty thoughts. But that would probably be a whole other episode than this. So this episode is, well, I call it the cost of knowing it all, but more the cost of certainty or being sure about something. I don't always grasp at that or make that a goal of mine to know or to be certain of something. I have a picture. If you've seen it, there's a picture of me like with a goofy face on, my norm, that says I definitely don't know it all and I'm proud of it, which I maybe sometimes if I get excited about something, we all are guilty of that, where you feel like you've learned so much, you've been taught so much, you want to relay these things to other people. You're certain that the other person is certain about what they know if they're a professional, so you share it and sometimes sound like you know everything about that, but I'm claiming now I don't. So if you thought I did, I don't. I know definitely certain things, but even that I feel like could be argued. I feel like everything could have. Sometimes there are two ways to be right. Let's just put it that way before I get into the blog. Leave it at that. So, agree to disagree? Sure. Do it. Okay, I'll start reading now. I've babbled randomly, trying to stay focused. Okay. There is something strangely comforting about certainty. We meet someone, observe a few interactions, scroll through a few posts, hear a few opinions, and before long, we've built an entire character profile in our minds. Prejudging, I've done it. They are selfish. She is fake. He is arrogant. They're one of those people. Case closed. Like you just made up your mind about them. Done. I invite you to go back a few times and reassess once you know these people deeper. Anyway, our brains love shortcuts. We learned this in a yoga theme from my yoga teacher, Mila. So shortcuts, they save us time and energy. They help us decide who feels safe and who doesn't. But certainty comes with a price. The moment we decide we know everything about someone, curiosity disappears. We stop asking questions. We stop listening. We stop allowing for the possibility that we might be missing something. And we've realized, or myself, let's bring it to that. I'm not going to assume for you that I don't actually want to know everything. Maybe you do. I'd rather be surprised, to be curious and go deeper. Now, this isn't a blanket statement. I will say that. There are some people, and I apologize profusely if you're one of them, that I feel that my personality doesn't do well with. Not so much if I like them or don't like them at all, whether they're unhealthy for the things I'm struggling with. Meaning, I really don't want to be specific because I really don't want to call anyone out. It is a me choice for almost like business. I'm taking the emotion out of it before it gets too emotional, if that makes sense. So sometimes you should be curious and go deeper and give those people a chance. But then once you've interacted for years and something seems off and you don't know what it is, check on personality conflicts because that could be making you unhealthy. I know that sounds weird, but it's a thing. Energy exchange is a thing. I'll say that and leave it at that. You go do your research. Also, I'd rather leave a little room for people to evolve and for myself to be wrong. Me saying that. The things that I previously just told you, I've grown to learn about myself over several years, like over a decade. In fact, I've become much better at here we go, recognizing kinds of personalities that simply don't work well with mine. I wasn't sure if I put this in here. I don't do well with, and here I'm gonna, it's general. I don't do well with people who steamroll conversations or make every interaction feel like a debate to be won. It triggers something in me from my past specifically that I don't want to revisit. I've made peace with that. I don't want to keep reliving it. So I've now decided to distance from that. Not because they're necessarily bad people. In fact, people love these people, and I'm glad. Not because they are wrong, but because I know myself. I know how easily I am steamrolled, and I give in to it because I have an unhealthy way of like, well, if they feel better, then at least someone is benefiting out of it. Well, I want to feel better now. Anyway, so I am not built to wrestle with that level of intensity every day. It's exhausting to me. I have enough things fighting against my metabolism already. Add menopause in and forget it. All right, I'm going to focus, Rachel. Okay, there are countless people who thrive around personalities such as I'm talking about. They enjoy the challenge, they love a spirited debate, and they leave feeling energized. So this isn't a flaw I'm talking about. It's like taking two magnets on that certain end that just bounce. And then sometimes they suck in. My energy gets sucked out. They're getting more energy. It needs to be more even, I think. That was a bad way of describing it. But anyway, let's go on. So most people leave feeling energized after spending time with this person. These people, it's not one person, it's a personality type. They leave feeling exhausted. I've just figured this out recently over the last few years. It's all like been opening up in my head. And it all started to get noticed from when I had my podcast, Yoga and Other Shit, with Elizabeth and Rachel. We kind of uncovered things about ourselves. It was pretty cool. Anyway, it's not a judgment from these people with these personalities. It's an understanding of me. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not them, it's understanding myself and what I can handle and what I can't handle. And I'm okay with saying I can't. And I feel proud of that. Anyway, now the way I go about it is totally different. But I digress. There's a big difference. Boundaries are not verdicts. Sometimes they're simply compatibility. I know I put boundaries down. My boundaries can get trampled pretty easily. Like it's like putting just a tiny piece of string or a piece of like tape someone can break through. I can acknowledge someone's intelligence, passion, and good intentions while also recognizing that we are probably not meant to spend hours together. And that's okay. That mistake comes when I convince myself I know everything about them because one opinion, one post, one conversation, or one interaction. People are endlessly complicated. Most of us are carrying stories that no one else can see. The loudest person in the room may secretly feel unheard. Usually, this happens often. They feel comfortable around this certain group because of this energy exchange and or are threatened, and that makes them even more nervous. The opinionated one may be terrified of uncertainty. The quiet one may have the deepest convictions of all. We rarely know. So that's why I become increasingly suspicious of certainty, especially my own. I still trust my intuition. I just go a little deeper, I think. If someone consistently leaves me anxious, tense, or emotionally drained, I don't owe anyone unlimited access to my life. I can walk away. I can choose peace. but I don't have to make them the villain in order to protect my own peace. Maybe that's the real maturity, not knowing it all, but knowing enough to about yourself to recognize what fits and what doesn't. So without being like, oh my God, they are too much, it's more like I can't handle that type of energy. So it's not putting it on them. They don't, you know, why should they change? Anyway, I don't know the whole story. There's freedom in admitting that. Because the cost of knowing it all might be missing who, oh my God, knowing it all might be missing who someone really is. So if you think you know everything about someone and you decide too soon about someone, you might be missing out their opening when they finally open up. The defense mechanisms might still be in full view. The mask might be on, and we have to protect ourselves this way. But the mask falls fairly quickly. You need to be patient. But what if we replaced certainty with curiosity just a little more often? So, and I always say this, like I feel the initial vibe of someone and instantly run away if I think I can't handle it. But then I circle back. I'm like, wait a minute, let's just make sure. Let's see what else there is. And most of the time, there is a good, wonderful things to experience with these people. But also a little longer of time spending with them, you might reveal something else. Which, what do you do about that? Just distance, little things. I am sure I am way too much for some people. You might be like, this lady's crazy right now, and click, you're right off of here. So the next time you're convinced that you've completely figured someone out, ask yourself, what don't I know? You may still walk away, but you do it with wisdom instead of judgment. A little secret, and this is a simple question that can be applied in any corner of life, like politics, cars, dating, sports controversies, scandals in the news or on social media. Before we rush into certainty, before we pile onto the comment sections, before we decide if someone is completely right or completely wrong, just pause. And you can pause for a while if you want. But ask yourself, what don't I know? You may discover that your opinion hasn't changed at all, or you may discover that the story is bigger than you realized, or doesn't have anything to do with what you're reading or seeing or experiencing about them. Either way, you'll become someone who responds with more wisdom, more humility, and a little more grace. And I don't know, that the world could use a little bit more of that, just a hunch. Because we don't have to know everything. We don't have to know everything. Did you know that? We just have to know enough to remain curious, because sometimes certainty closes doors and curiosity, however, tends to leave them cracked open. And sometimes that's where understanding walks in. And ta-da! That was it. So if you like this, please give me a follow. Sign up for my newsletter on the Ghost blog. This link should be where it is, somewhere here. I will link it. Actually, I will. I'll link it below. So I'll put my Ghost link, because I forget to do that, I think, a lot of times. Or if you just like to listen or see the video with my goofy hairdo, then Spotify, YouTube is your channel. That's where you want to go. But on here on YouTube, I do book reviews, just more like a book talk than a review. It's sort of a review. I tend to like the murder mystery, thriller, suspense type of books. So usually I'm like, yeah, this was good. If it wasn't one of those, I reluctantly will review it. But it's got to be horrible for me not to like it. There's always some kind of really cool thing that happens in all the books. Something fascinating. And the fact that these people have these imaginations to write these things is crazy. My books are pretty basic that I write. They are under 300 pages, I think, or around 300 pages. But these other books that are 400 or 500 pages, even the ones that are 300 pages, like the descriptions are amazing. And just how they describe a scenery is, I'm so enamored by it. Anyway, I did a review on Sex and the City and Emily in Paris. That was really fun to kind of compare the characters in both, and just the whole time I've watched those, it reminded me of the other. They're very similar to me. I love it. The Sex and the City's more our version, rated R version, which is cool too. Brings on a whole different dynamic. Anyway, so that's it. So I will put the link, the ghost blog. If you'd rather just read it quietly and you don't have to listen here, then you'll click that link and this is there along with all the other ones I've read. But yeah, I'm going to go record the next one and I hope I see you soon. Thanks. Have a great day.